Hey guys, it's TF now. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another action figure review. This is going to be of the Star Wars, the Black Series Star Wars, the Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano. We have a new Ahsoka here based on her appearance from Mandalorian, played by Rosario Dawson. I thought she did a great job as Ahsoka. This release of, well, really a lot of releases of Hasbro stuff, but this release in particular with this figure and some of the other figures in this wave, like the Death Watch Trooper, I believe. Some of the release dates are a little weird because a lot of stuff's been slated for March of 2023, which I think is just a placeholder at this point. This came out for me from Amazon last week. Some people got theirs before. Some people still haven't gotten theirs yet, so it's a little weird. But I have it here to review for you guys. Very excited. Let's go ahead and jump right into the packaging. Top half says Star Wars: The Black Series figure in the box. Some of the contents you see here. You guys are pretty familiar with the packaging by now. You can see here it says Star Wars: The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, warning choking hazard, ages 4 and up, as well as the Hasbro logo. On this side, not much going on. I don't really know what this color is exactly, a brownish orange-ish. But you see that little sash right there of the color. As well as Star Wars: The Black Series. On this side, it's very cool artwork of Ahsoka Tano, as well as her name towards the bottom. I don't know if it looks exactly like Rosario Dawson in this art, but I think it's pretty close. Still pretty good art. On this side here, just a wide shot of the back of the packaging. Now we get a little bit closer to the top half of the Star Wars: The Black Series, as well as it says Ahsoka Tano, multilingual read-ups of her bio right there on the left. And then we do have the image again on the right. Down here it says number 19 out of the newer packaging releases of Mandalorian figures and multilingual warnings. And on the bottom, barcode in case you need it. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. So here's the figure out of the packaging. I actually really like this figure a lot. I think they did a pretty good job. There's a couple things I probably would have changed with it, but it's not very major to me, honestly. Again, a really solid figure. Let's take a look at the accessories. Don't take a closer look at the figure. So here are both lightsabers. I think they look pretty good. We have the shorter one right here, longer one. As you can see, they have white, slightly translucent, but not that much. Saber pieces, which of course they do pop out. These actually pop out pretty easily. Sometimes they can get stuck in there and potentially break. I can't tell you. Well, it actually hasn't happened through that much throughout the years, but there are a number of times where these things will break on you, which is unfortunate. But I have a ton of lightsabers at that point for, switching up, some for the same character and whatnot. We have they're actually both curved. This one is a little bit more curved than the other one, but it's got some nice silver, as you can see, some nice sculpting going on. Parts of the handle, a little bit of black too. The belt holes right there, the clip holes, whatever you want to call that. We do have the saber piece once more again. This one too pops out. Putting it in was kind of difficult for, oh fuck. Yeah, so be careful. I just bent that. It went back in. Not amazing, I gotta be careful, but yeah, it's a little annoying. This one's nice though, this little smaller one. It's got a similar design. You can see those diamonds or whatever in the handle right there. Another belt hole or clip hole, whatever you want to call that. Nice saber piece. So just be careful. Yeah. Oh boy, that was scary. So the question is, does this figure look like Rosario Dawson from The Mandalorian? I think yes. It's very, very close. If not 100%, it's like 90 to 95%. I think Hasbro gets better each time with the face printing and sculpting to make it look a lot like the actors. So hats off to them for that. I think they did a good job here. I also own the Marvel Legends Claire Temple figure from a lot of the Netflix Marvel shows, or former Netflix shows like that. Definitely a better likeness on the right now. It was pretty good back then, I guess, but looking at it now compared to Ahsoka, yeah, Claire Temple here doesn't really look that much like Rosario Dawson. This is a really nice head sculpt. They did a really good job with the face printing on the eyes. Everywhere you look, perspective-wise around this figure, it looks like Rosario Dawson, man. They did a really good job. The eyes came through nice, the lip color too. The markings on her face aren't mismatched at all. I'm looking at her eyebrow. Maybe there might be a little bit missing there. Actually, no, that's intentional. That's part of the design. So, yeah, overall, really good. I know there are complaints ever since the show came out, which this isn't Hasbro's fault, that these are supposed to be longer. I get it. More animated appearance. I guess they're longer there. And when translating it to live action, they wanted to make it shorter, or they couldn't make it longer. Don't really know. But Hasbro replicated it here pretty well with all the really nice markings going up here. Looking really nice. Back too looks good. All these blue markings are all very clean on this figure. We'll get to articulation in a second, but one thing I wish they did was they gave us, since his head's sculpt is big enough, I wish they gave us a hinge for this piece so I can actually go back a little bit so her head could look up more, because it really doesn't that much. But we do have some nice paint, some brown paint going on, some of the blue and gray. We have some gray going on. I actually, it's almost like a greenish gray. I can't entirely tell, but it's more gray than it is any other color. There might be a little bit of a splotch right down the center of her chest, just ever so slightly. You gotta look pretty close, because in person it's not very noticeable. It's pretty noticeable on camera though. I really like how the skin tone came through. It's pretty consistent when you see the arms as well as the face. And we do have these arm wrappings. There's even some sculpting in the joint there, looking nice. It's pretty cool. That's what the back looks like. There's the other side too. The gauntlets too have some really nice lighter gray on darker gray paint and a little bit of sculpting there as well. The hands also come through very nice. She's got some pretty small hands. I think they're accurate, you know, size-wise. But they have the little guard on the back there. They have some silver painted on her belt, and we do have these pieces sticking out that are going to act as the belt loops for weapon storage when you're holstering your lightsabers and whatnot. Pretty good textures that are sculpted, you know, in the, you know, this part. I didn't want to say gown. It's not a gown. A skirt piece. It also may not be accurate. But for this, it's the soft plastic piece on this figure. Could be a little bit better. Some of the sculpting in there doesn't have that much detail. You gotta look really close at it though. Like towards the front, there's not that much detailing. But it still looks fine. I don't think it looks bad at all. These soft plastic strings, as you can see there, have a lot of wrinkles throughout the whole figure, especially towards the pants, as you can see here. And you can see these very large baggy pants, man. This sculpted piece here covers this, which also has some texturing, so you know it keeps the sculpt. However, it also keeps the articulation, so that's honestly pretty decent. The downside of that is that a lot of it looks very bulky when you move it around, especially around the knees here. These are, you know, accurate how big they are, but they look really huge when you bend them. I'll show you right here. Look at that gap. So that's a little unfortunate. It is pretty noticeable when you're doing certain poses, like her jumping in the air and whatnot. But, you know, at the front, that's not too bad, I guess. When you bend it, it still actually looks pretty decent. There's a little bit of a gap right there, but you really can't tell. So that's fine. There's even some texturing on this part that's covered by all this. Again, very baggy. Lots of wrinkles and waves and whatnot going on in the pants. We do have similar color scheme going up here, down here with the lighter gray on darker gray on the shins, looking really nice. Some of the lighter gray goes onto the darker gray a little bit, but it's not super noticeable. There's the top of the feet, toes slightly separated from the rest of the feet, the big toe I should say, and then you can see the bottom of the feet there. So this is, they did a really good job. I couldn't tell you if it's the most detailed Ahsoka, but likeness alone, those other figures on the side there, likeness alone, it's probably one of their best ones they've done. Which, I mean, the other ones were animated likenesses, so it's not super fair to compare. But I just give you a 360 here, right? By the way, that likeness to Rosario Dawson in this figure is really good, and the articulation could be a little bit better, but is overall decent. So the head really doesn't want to move up at all. It's because of this tail on the back. Downward is also not amazing. Side to side, you can make it work. A little bit of a neck pivot. There's also a joint that goes into the torso, so it allows for a little bit better range of motion in the head, but it's not amazing overall. It's a bit of a bummer. Arms go all the way around. They go in and out like this. We do have swivel at the elbow, as well as a single joint hinge that bends over 90, so that's cool. We do have a swivel at the wrist, as well as a hinge up and down here. Same thing for this hand, it hinges up and down. It's a little bit tight on this one. Ball jointed waist, so it can go all the way around here. You know, swivel. Forward and back's actually pretty decent. That might help with head movement, even though it doesn't look the best. And then side to side like this, there's a little bit more sculpting, as you can see right there. Legs, go pretty far, man. Look at that. And back, pretty cool too, because there's nothing, blocking here. If you were to move it like this, then yes, it would get in the way of that. But we do also have an upper thigh swivel. That's kind of crazy. I don't know if I mentioned, but they kick out too. We do have single jointed knees that bend pretty decently. They also swivel at the knee. We also have a bend downward at the foot, bend upwards pretty decent, and then we do have ankle rockers. For quick size comparisons, right next to her are both previous versions of Ahsoka from the Black Series line. The left one being the Walmart exclusive from Clone Wars, the right one being from Star Wars Rebels. As you can see, the flesh tones aren't super consistent and whatnot, but all three of them next to each other look pretty good. They're about the same height with each other. On the far right, we have the first ever Mando, which is going to be a little bit taller, but still fits in scale. And then Marvel Legends on the far left, like Symbiote Spider-Man, going to be taller than Black Series most of the time. Overall, this figure is really awesome. I had a lot of fun playing around with it, messing around with it. Biggest complaint, though, is, and I didn't really mention this, is that there's not much paint going on with certain parts of her outfit. Mostly the dark blues and whatnot. Pretty good sculpting, but just not that much paint. What paint that we do have with this figure, though, is very good, especially the head sculpt. That face printing for Rosario Dawson is very good on this figure. Very decent articulation. Some of the joints can look a little weird, especially in the baggy pants and whatnot, but still functions pretty well. Pretty nice lightsabers, even though I bent the crap out of one of them, which was unfortunate. But again, very, very decent figure we have here. The price hike when it comes to stuff like Marvel Legends and Black Series is going to make it a little bit hard for me to vouch to get this figure at the $23 to $25 price range, but it's still a pretty decent figure. At that price, if you can get it for cheaper, somehow, maybe wait a little while and see if you can get it for cheaper. Definitely recommend that. Got mine on Amazon. There's other retailers. I'll leave down in the description below. You can get this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there. And I'll see you guys later.